I knew I was going to pass out, and I was trying really hard not to. And had this sick feeling go through my system, and my head was rolling, and I saw this guy in a white coat way over there, and he had a clipboard, and he felt it. He looked up right into my eyes, and he said, "Are you and right then, boom, I like exploded out of my body. I didn't even hear him finish his word. And I said, "I'm finally free." And my body dissolved. And the earth and my body, it was like it never even happened. I completely forgot it. And it was as if I had never not been the energy being that I am.
This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to my guest, John Kelley. Hello, John.
Hi. How are you today?
I am great. I am thrilled to have you here today. You had a really fascinating near-death experience. This happened when you were a teenager, and you had traveled from Washington to Arizona with some buddies, but I'm not sure if you were totally prepared in terms of money and food and that kind of thing. So why don't you share what happened and then take us right into your near-death experience?
Yeah. So we just were going on an adventure, attempting, is this instinct to go where no one knows us and to just start something new. And, we weren't prepared financially. And the truck broke down a couple times. And so we ended up spending almost all of our money fixing it. And then we made it to Mesa, Arizona, Phoenix and Mesa. And we ran out of money. And so we just had enough money for gas. And so we didn't eat. And after a couple weeks of not eating, we went to churches. Food bank wouldn't let us have food because we didn't have a state ID. Churches were like, get lost. And except for one gave us $20. So we did eat once in there. And, and so what happened is we were not hungry anymore. We didn't have any responsibilities. We had nowhere to be. We hadn't found work yet, and we were just blank, and like no more hunger. And our thoughts this isn't like it happened naturally. And later on, I was able to piece it together. It was like our minds were turned off and we were just in a state of being, just with nowhere, nothing, no responsibility yet. And, out of that nothingness, I got this idea of a place to get money, and that was the blood bank, to give plasma, where they spin it out of your blood and put the blood back in your body. And so back then there was phone booths, and the phone books there were like this thick. And so we found the place to go, the closest one. And we went there, and they handed us a board, to sign, fill out. And it said we had to have 3 square meals a day for 7 days in a row, or we couldn't give blood. And also there was a big rack of bread from a local bakery sitting there, and the whole place smelled like bread and fresh baked bread. And, we looked at each other and we're like, and we signed like, yeah, sure, whatever, and, the deal is you get $20, each and so we grabbed bread and started eating while we were waiting to go back there. And it was a big place. That's a big area down there. And there was about 4 rows of reclining chairs. you kind of relax back in. Yeah, I'd say probably 60 of them, and they weren't all full. And, so I don't know what those guys were doing. I just sat down with the worker and they plugged me in with that huge needle, and it looks like a fork prong. And, and probably within a half a minute or so, I died. And before I launched out of my body, I felt this wave of sickness, or I knew I was going to pass out, and I was trying really hard not to. And had this sick feeling go through my system, and my head was rolling, and I saw this guy in a white coat way over there, and he had a clipboard, and he felt it. He looked up right into my eyes and he said, "Are you and right then, boom, I exploded out of my body. I didn't even hear him finish his word. And it was weird. It was like my vision started like a blank TV channel in the old days. That it started in the center and started going outwards, and I heard and felt like Velcro ripping apart, like it was really pronounced. And it was like me separating from my body. And I exploded out of my body at about a 45-degree angle. And I felt like it was like a million miles an hour. And it was like I still had a body or something. And I was arched like this. And I said, "I'm finally free." And my body dissolved. And the earth and my body, it was like it never even happened. I completely forgot it. And it was as if I had never not been the energy being that I am. And I didn't even have a frame of reference. It's like it didn't even happen. And so language, human concepts or ideas, those were all gone. They evaporated. The next moment, it was like freedom burst from the center of my being forever, like the sun shining light. Like, boom. It just never stopped. And not yet. And it was like, but it was handleable. It wasn't so ecstatic that I was going to just dissolve, And then this joy sparked off with the freedom. And it was this blend of two feelings, absolute freedom and this amazing joy. And of course, I'm thinking about it. I didn't think that at the time. I'm just describing it now. And so this is radiating from me in every direction, and I'm just flying. And then, I all of a sudden I got curious, and I inverted my awareness and looked around my body, and I was a bunch of speckles of energy of different colors, three different colors. And I was like I don't really believe that was my body. I think it was a carrier for my awareness, the being level. And it was folding on itself super fast, like it was tumbling or folding on itself in a direction. And so my awareness is seeing the energy. And then I look in the direction, or it seemed like I was looking. And I mean, I didn't have eyes though. And I had a curiosity, without human words, where am I going? Kind of curious where it's kind of hard to word because it was without words. And at that very moment, everything just boom, stopped. And I got this full being upload. It was okay to start with. I stopped right before I am immersed into what I'm assuming, and someday I will find out, because there'll be no coming back. It was, I know that it was the larger me, and the upload showed me everything. There's this giant ball. It looked like it was like the size of the moon, this ball of energy. And it was pressed against the envelope or the membrane of this universe, like pushing in on it, like pushing in on a balloon. And the upload I got is that being invested its energy, that being the larger me, I'm still discovering this stuff, and it invested part of its energy. It pushed into the membrane and injected its energy into this dimension all the way to Earth and created a body. And created what this is here, what we are here. And so it joined this reality, but it not all the way, because it's pushing on the it's definitely a different thing than this universe. And so the upload is that is me, this whole thing, but without words. It invested its energy. It's reeling it back in. And I still am discovering this. I can't even ponder, I don't want to like pretend or conclude anything, because that'll block the true discovery of the real truth of what all this is. And so I kind of leave it blank and don't try to nail it down, and because it'll come eventually. Hopefully I don't have to die permanently to find out, but so I stopped just before. It was right when I had that curiosity, and then everything shifted, like it was like turned, whoop, whoop. And I was like in this void, like space, but without stars. And I could see the outline. I didn't know anything. I was just observing, and I could see the outline of, what I now know is this body. And it was from the right side. And it was more, now that I'm into energy work, I know it was the energy body of this body, the living energy blueprint. And there was these massive, how you can see heat waves rising off of, there was massive puffs of energy going through this thing, and it was going, woof. And back then I had a full head of hair, and it was, the hair was flying. It was like big charges of energy going through. And then, I felt like a little bit of my awareness was inside of the energy body blueprint of this body, but most of my awareness was observing from like over here, like in a dream where you're watching yourself. There's an outside observer position. And then like I believe it was the third or fourth big burst of energy that came through from the void, like raw, pure energy. It caused me to jerk into my form. Like my awareness like merged, boom. And I was looking out its eyes or out the eyes. I'm like talking like, I'm not that thing. And it's actually really true for all of us. We are much more than our embodiment. And so, so I'm feeling right. Okay. In sequential, I jerk back in, and then I had this feeling, this full body feeling, like of what it would be like. The only way I can describe it is what it would be like to be a conscious creator. Like we're made of life, and we have the attributes of life because we're made of its energy. And so life creates, it's creative energy, creative power, and that feeling of being conscious creator. Like, it was amazing feeling, and not power like on earth, like what we think of as power of any of those. It was this creative power feeling. It registered through my whole being. And then, I heard this noise way down in the void over there. So anyway, I'll just say what happened, and not try to figure it out on the way. And my curiosity, I tuned into it and it had a curiosity, and it moved me from here to here. Boop. Instantly. I was over there closer because of my curiosity of that there's nothing except for me and the feelings that I was having. And then, I was there, and then I heard another noise, and I remember it was like I had a vision of it. It was coming through, like down a tunnel, and then emitting into the void. And that really caught my curiosity. And I went from here to here. And now I was like floating. I was in another dimension all of a sudden. It was like fog, kind of like white, like a cloud or something. Whitish, but translucent a little bit. And I'm like gliding. And, I'm just realizing right now, after all this time, that I was in the body blueprint, but it didn't feel like it when I was gliding through the fog or that energy. And so there's nothing. I couldn't distinguish anything. And I was like, my awareness was kind of taking it in, and I was floating, like traveling. Like, so now everything shifted into that from the nothing. And when I bounced into there through my curiosity, and then I ran into my right calf in this world. It was like overlaid dimensional frequencies or something. And I was in the fog place dimension, and I was flowing, and I hit my calf in this world, but I couldn't see it in that world. Like, I ran into it and it caused me to go straight into my body. And I don't know. I do know now that the whole thing was orchestrated and guided. It was like all orchestrated by the larger me in order to begin triggering me to wake up. But at that moment, I didn't know anything. And so I hit my leg, boom, it immersed me into my body. And I still didn't know anything. I didn't reboot yet, but I did get a little tidbit of an upload of the feeling of peeing, urinating in my shorts, because it was so hot there. It was like 120 degrees. And I was in shorts, thongs, a button-up shirt. That's it. A short sleeve shirt. And I could sense people around me, other beings. I felt like I was urinating, like I let go because I died. Boom, everything was coming out. And I went, and the larger part of me twanged the guitar string of embarrassment just for a moment. And I reacted to it, and I went, ugh, and I clamped down to stop, releasing everything. And that really launched me, rooted me back into my body. And then, some guy, I didn't even see anyone. Some guy pushed me back, and they were there. I didn't know till actually 20 years later that they had just shocked my heart 3 times. So they just shocked my heart. I didn't even know until my friend told me about it 20 years later. And, I didn't even know. And so he pushed me back, and he's like, "What's your name?" And now that I reemerged, and he's slapping my face back and forth, trying to make me come back, get me to come back, and I was blank, like a blank. I was just in a state of being still, like, And then all of a sudden I got a flash of irritation, went straight through my core, just, and I stopped my head from rocking and looked him right in the eyes. And I focused on giving him what he was asking for, or so he'd stop smacking me around. And this piece of energy appeared on my left. I could see it plain as day, like I was still in the energy state of being, and it just appeared, and it was pretty big, about 2.5 feet or so, 2.5 feet. And it appeared at an angle like this, boom, when I focused on answering him, and the tip of it plugged into my hemisphere right here. Click. And boom, I had the information. And I said my name. And he knew I wasn't back all the way. And so I think someone else put a smelling salt somewhere in there that was all jumbled. He was smacking me around, and someone put a smelling salt, and he's like, "Where are you?" Bam, bam. He's trying to get me back further, or pull me in further. I guess they'd been through this before. And, and, I got the same flash of irritation, went through the core of my body, and I stopped my head and I looked him in the eyes again, and I focused to answer him, and another piece of energy appeared on this side, and it was a little smaller than the other one on this side, and it had this energy going through it like this, and it appeared this is when I'm focusing, boom, and it plugged in, and boom, I had my whole life back. Everything, my full life experience was plugged back in. So, I was laying there. I could hear my friend back there saying, John, he was freaking out, but he was plugged in. And I don't know what has happened to his brother. I don't even know where he was in that room. And I was just laying there contemplating what just happened. And then, when it was done, they unplugged me, or pulled it, they unplugged me, and I stood up, and there was a puddle of urine in the reclining chair, and I was drenched, and I was like, look at, I took off out of there, and I got my $20 and went out to the truck and changed. And I never told anyone about this for a long time, not even my friends. And it was deep contemplation. I had no idea about life at all. I mean, I just was a human. I was young. I was out of high school, kind of aimless a little bit. I did have martial art training since I was 13. And so I did have discipline and focus. And I had seen people do seemingly supernatural things and demonstrations. I was just contemplating, trying to wrap my mind around that I experienced myself as without John and the earth, it dissolved. I did not know I was raised in a Christian family, and they were unconditional loving, and they did live the precepts and kindness and acceptance. And they were really good people. They're all passed to the other side now. The three main, influencers in my life, my mom, my grandma, and my grandpa. But in reverse, my grandpa went first, then my mom, and then my grandma. And, that's a whole nother line of story that, cause I've communicated with them all, and I saw 2 of them transition, through all the training I've had. And so anyway, I had to understand, I experienced myself as a being, an energy being. I didn't know those words then, as something that I wasn't previously not aware of. And now that was booted back up, and I had this conflict inside of me. Well, wait a minute. Now I'm John again, but I experienced myself as this, what in Christianity they call as a spiritual being, and I'm like, I had to understand. And so we ended up going back a little later. We did find some work, and we ended up going back to Washington, and I hunted for a teacher. like literally hunting. I was depth charging everyone with questions. Do you have a teacher? Do you know anything about meditation? And I think I did tell a few of those people about my experience. And finally I ran into somebody, or life brought me someone, because I was relentless and I would not stop. And like hunting for someone who understood this stuff to help me understand it. And I found the Washington Psychic Institute. At the time, they had 7 branches. They're called the Church of Divine Man, and they have a Christian base, like God, Christ, energy. And I found this place, and this guy handed me, I was so intense. I said, do you have any teachers? And he's like, yes, I do. And I jumped him. I was like, well, who are, what? And he's like, calm down, like just calm down. And he went and wrote on a piece of paper an address, and he handed it to me, and he says, don't tell them I sent you. Cause I was so intense, I was so excited, I was like really on it. And so I went there, and I started, that's a whole nother story also. And I started my training, meditation, healing work, personal healing work, energy work, working with the earth's energy itself, and connecting with the source of life, and undoing trauma in my own system. And that began my journey. And ever since then, took me 14 months to find someone, or a school, an institute, which I didn't know was coming. I was just looking for anyone. I didn't care. And then, and I went through 5 different schools. I've been working with people, healing work, energy clearing, helping people understand their own system, sharing what I've discovered, and helping people heal the same way that I've been doing and continue to do, by the way. I don't think there's any end to growing and discovering and healing, waking up, basically.
That is so true. I think of that whenever I hear near-death experiences, that I always learn something new. And what is so incredible about your near-death experience is the complexity of what was happening in the other realm. And it's really quite fascinating. One of the things that stood out to me is that you seemed like you were both an observer as well as a being at the same time. Did I get that correct?
When I was observing the energy body in the
Exactly.
void,
Was that so? That energy body was you, correct?
it was my physical. I think in the healing work I do, I work directly with the energy blueprint, or the channels, meridians, chakras,
Okay.
the energy field layers, and the being, and the higher level of your being, and the source level of life itself, and the earth's energy, like just going direct. And that was my energy body. And I think it was getting an upgrade, like preparing me for the rest of my life. Cause I don't even know if I would have lived. I mean, I was kind of a wild kid, and I had a lot of power, and I had no understanding of life, cause I've trained for, I don't know how many years at that point, 6 maybe. And I could jump up 8 feet in the air and break a 2x4 in half with my bare foot. I mean, I could do things. I had tapped into my power, and I had zero direction. And so I think it was the source level of my own being, that, the level of ourselves that holds us alive and beats our heart, the true eternal level of our being that chose this life, that joined this consciously and remains aware consciously. I think that level was triggering me, or implanting an experience to where I would hunt for the truth. Like, what am I? What is life?
So that spiritual being was really connected to your body. And then you were almost a higher being of yourself. I just had another
Yeah,
guest talking about this as well. You know, we have a higher self, and then she was
yeah,
talking about
boom,
an
boom,
even
boom.
higher self.
Yeah,
And her name was Alexandra. And it really is interesting that there is so much complexity to who we are.
right. We are amazing. What I've discovered is that everything we are is in full operation right now. And that it's just, we live in grace really, to where we don't have to be aware of that. It's the eternal level of ourself that is all knowing and fully connected with the larger level, the ocean of life itself, the creational level that it's created from. We are made of life. We are life, and life creates. In this life, you don't have to know who you are. You don't have to know what anything is. You can build, like we all have, a personality structure in relationship, build it in relationship to everything outside of us and to our culture and our family. And we can just know that and live it out. And we're connected into the collective, the larger collective agreements of what is and what isn't, what is acceptable also as what you are, a male or a female. And in the culture you're at, we can immerse ourselves in that and have a complete new life experience. We don't have to know who we really are, but the whole time we are held alive by that level of the true being we are, the true self we are. We are held and energized so that we can experience this life without having to think of those details, those massive, intricate, multidimensional details, trillions of processes happening every moment, every millisecond. You know, that's what that level of ourself energizes and holds alive. Okay, there's that part. And free will is the ability to either choose to become aware of what you are, to dial into the true relationship. I call it the primary relationship between you and the source of your own being. The level of you that is your intuition, insight, comprehension, realization, gut feeling. That is the inner level of, we're one whole being. That's the inner level speaking through us. Like it's kind of it's like an inner GPS or guidance system, but it has our best interest in mind because it is us. We are it. We are an extension of it. We're a new creation of it. And it's a new creation of the raw source itself. And all of it is held alive simultaneously. Each holds itself. The real truth is what we're made of. It's what we really are and what we're a part of. It's the living life itself, the nature of nature itself. We are made of that nature. And this is the hole in people's hearts that they try to fill with food, drugs, sex, love. We have forgotten. We are not aware of the life that we are and our place in life. And so we look outside of ourselves because we're taught that everything is outside of us. I call that objective perception training, like from birth. So we get to know ourselves in relationship to everything outside of us, and we ignore the true primary relationship that exists right now within you and I and everyone, even animals, all life. That is always there. It's what holds us and holds us so that we are what we are. And we're a new creation. People talk about reincarnation, and yes, sure. On that larger level, it can hold 10,000 lifetimes alive in the present moment and interface. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it. And it's kind of based on linear thinking. But what is real is what we are. And now. And that relationship between you and you, this is our true teacher. is the inner level of our own being that's fully connected and fully aware and knows everything. And, when we focus on something and we get more ideas about it, that is that level of ourself. See, delivering more of what we're focusing on. I have a website, and I show people this stuff, what is already in full function within them, bringing it to their awareness. And I have to say that there's always more. There's more to who and what you are, and there's more to who and what life is. I call it the more that is. And that more that we are is our true teacher. And we can open that relationship, meaning we can bring it into our awareness. It's happening right now. Every time we focus, we receive information from that level of ourself. And we are definitely carried. We're in the most blessed position there is. We don't have to do anything. We focus, and the larger level of ourself aligns it into reality. And this system was made for us to be aware of that truth, that fact, what this design is, this multidimensional interface, what we are here, this bio expression, this living, juicy expression. It's like, it's not mechanical and like we're taught to think and dissect analytically. The analyzer is a small part of our whole system, but we've been trained to expand it to run everything, to the point where we'll even deny the existence of our own intuition, or we'll be like, oh yeah, I have a soul somewhere over there. And someday I might, when I die, but the real truth is you are your soul. You are life. You're more than your soul, because soul is a limited idea. You are life itself. And we can open our relationship and have direct communion while we're here. We don't have to wait, but it's okay. It's not a requirement. We can live a full life here, and it adds to the larger experience. Life grows itself. Everything proves it. An apple, one seed turns into 1,000 seeds. Well, we are life. The nature of life reflects itself within all parts of itself. That's how you can actually zero in on what truth is. Because if it is true, it will show itself in all parts of life. Because life is made of the same energy. And so the same nature.
One way that people connect to this information, to our intuition, is through meditation. You also are training people how to do this. But are there some simple steps that you could walk us through right now on how we could make that connection?
Yeah, actually, it's the step I need to take for myself right now. The first thing I show everyone is first of all, it's sort of a pool of things, a handful of things, is how to reverse stress, fight or flight. Everyone is holding tension and stress within their system. Unless, even me, after all these years, 40 years of doing this, we have to maintain our system on the way, because as we focus, our system instantly reflects it on all levels: energetic, physical, hormonal, adrenal, instantly. And like when we're thinking of a memory that was pretty scary or something, our heart's beating fast, and we're like, oh my God, well, that happened like 10 years ago. Like, why are you reacting now? It's because what we hold in our focus, our entire whole system reflects it. And so when we're not aware of the design, the actual design of our own system, how its true function, how it functions naturally, no matter how you run it, it still functions the same way. We will hold stress, and our mind, we're analytically trained. We'll not be able to turn our own mind off, because we're processing things on a mental level. And so our day, we fill ourselves in the day, and now we can't even go to sleep. We'll be awake till 4 a.m. processing, especially if it was really intense or it's really important stuff. And when we're a constant thinker, if we are thinking of something that is not in alignment with the true nature that we are, we will contract the life that we are. If it does not match our nature, it creates stress, especially if we have to do it, in order to pay the rent or whatever. And it's like it creates a conflict within us because we're doing something against our own nature, when our nature is telling us this is not a match to who you are. And so we have a lifetime of this. So the key to begin is to become conscious of this natural process within yourself, and to begin noticing is the big one. Noticing how you feel, noticing where you're at, checking in with yourself. And if you notice you're breathing shallow, or there's a tension in your chest, or there's a stress of any kind, unresolved issues that are rolling around in your mind, then this is what I was shown and what I practice off and on all day. Be really clear. When you do this breath and you start this practice, you will know where you stand at all times. You'll be clear. You just have to dial it in. That's all. And so it's really simple. Here we go. Sorry it took so long to get to that point, but get to the actual point. So whenever we start a new practice, we create a beginning. And so in this beginning, we make it a technical movement. And so we just breathe out all the way. And then breathe all the way in. So I'll talk the first time or two. And at the top, hold it open without locking your throat. And listen to your body for when it pulses you to breathe out, because it needs you to breathe out. So listen. Feel it. Just listen to the feeling in your body. And when you'll know when you need to breathe out, and then just breathe out. And then let's do it again with less talk. So we'll breathe out and then breathe in. It doesn't, by the way, it doesn't matter if it's through your nose or your mouth or both, or just the full breath is the most important part. And so you just breathe out on purpose, breathing on purpose. And you breathe in and you hold it open at the top, listening for your body to pulse you to breathe out. Let's do it again with no talk. So you're all the way out with your breath, then just breathe in. Hold it open at the top. Don't lock your throat off. Listening, feeling for your body to tell you to breathe out. And then you can just breathe natural, but just fuller breaths to keep. Okay, while you're doing that, did you notice your mind turn off or just settle out?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you feel the relief from that a little bit? Yes. You tell me.
The one thing I was thinking about, though, was why the throat needs to be open. And I definitely had to focus and concentrate on that.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, that's only the 1 to 3 breaths.
Okay.
Is to trigger your system to pulse and open. But if you lock it off and let go and your air is pushing against your throat, it creates a background stress because your body's trying to breathe out, but you're not letting it. And the whole purpose for this is to dilate your system. A background stress causes a contraction. There'll be a conflict because you're doing something that goes against the natural flow or process. And so you go open, and then here's the key to turning off your mind. This is all part of it, is when you're listening to an inner sense, you're feeling, you're not thinking. And when you're not thinking, your mind settles. You're kindly listening to your body carefully, because it will tell you right away when it needs you to breathe out so it can breathe in. And in that process, your whole system opens. In the present moment, right now, there's a couple ways to turn your mind off and to dilate your system. This is the most intimate way, like working with your system, is through your breath and being aware of your body. And what we're after is to start noticing how we feel. What rises up within us as we're focusing is the true value of our consideration, because it is the direct communication from the deeper level of ourself, letting us know a lot of stuff, but also what we're focusing on, if it is in alignment with the true nature that we are, life itself, or if it is not. And when it is not, I call those bad feeling thoughts. There's only two kinds of thought: good feeling thoughts and bad feeling thoughts. The bad feeling thoughts are a direct communication from the deeper level of your own being, like it's giving you information all day, every day. It's already in function. When you focus on that thing and it is not in alignment with you and it takes you off the path of your own nature and what you want for yourself, you will feel a negative pulse come directly from the deeper level of yourself. It is direct communication from the source of your own being that what you are focusing on right now in this present moment is out of alignment with your nature. You can even get a percentage, like 20% out of alignment, whatever, you'll feel it. And that communication is given, and we're supposed to know how this works. That's the way it was originally designed. We're supposed to know that we're supposed to be aware of this communication. We're supposed to have the deepest relationship in our existence is between you and the source level of your own being, the actual living intelligence being you are. And so that being knows above all who and what you are and what you want and why it chose you to be the creation of yourself and the life and the moment you were born and the parents you came through and the planet you're on and the culture you're born into. There is no accident, period. Everything is chosen all the way to the deepest level. And if on this level, when we don't recognize that relationship and that communication between our inner guidance system, if we don't recognize that, we can make decisions that counter our own nature, and we do. And they don't feel good at all. And of course, that's direct communication from the level of yourself trying to, hey, yo, what you're holding in your thought right now is out of alignment with your nature. And at that moment, we're supposed to choose a good feeling thought instead. We're not lying to ourselves that doesn't exist, or, yeah, that is there. But what I've discovered is keep it on the outer edge of your awareness that is in existence, but your main focus is listening to your nature and what it calls for through you. Our own inner intelligence will deliver what we're asking for. Like in the Christian, knock and the door will be opened. Ask and you shall receive. Well, every time we focus, we are asking and we're receiving something. Okay. Back to the technique, the dilation breath. It's also a reset breath to reset your system. When we're focused and we got that thing going on in there and we need to reset our system, we take a full breath. Our mind settles out. We're listening to our body. The mind shuts off. All the emotions that were firing off from what you were focusing on, because the mind is now not active, whoosh, evaporate. And now your system is reset. Simple as that.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's really a great technique. I think there's so much complexity to what's behind it, but the actual technique is, as you said, it is very simple. Some people that are watching may want to go further with this. How do they connect with you? What is the best way to find out more information?
Boy, do I love to connect on this level. It's my life calling, I'm very passionate about sharing liberation and self-knowledge and life knowledge, which all of it, I'm still in discovery on some level and will be forever. So, I have a website, jkenergyhealing.life. J, the letter K, energyhealing.life. That just has, about me, about what, my training, and then my offerings. I do a lot of remote energy work where I attune with people. We talk before we hang up, I do the clearing, we call back. I walk you through a technique after we discuss what you experienced and what I ran into while I was helping clear your whole system out. I get all this information and I share it with you. I'm starting now to do it on Zoom, to do a little bit before Zoom to get it rolling, and then boom, we connect on Zoom, and then to do it live. There is a lot of value to doing it, energy work live with somebody. I've just recently discovered how important it is after all this time to do both, in one session. So there's all these different offerings. I have, relationship clearings of clearing out people's systems and then their relationship together, harmonizing their system, working with animals, healing trauma, or whatever, just giving them a full system clearing, which is your auric field, your meridians, your chakras, and anything going on in there, just clearing it with universal healing energy and earth energy, healing vibrations, non-volitional energies. And the last two offerings I have are a 6-week course and a 4-week. It's kind of a course. It's more like you're my client and I'm sharing with you all these super important things and walking you through the techniques and working directly with what's going on in your life. And basically it's 4 weeks of healing work or 6 weeks and training, which is more not learning something other than what's in operation within you right now, in full operation, and just helping you discover, what is already in full function within you and bringing it into your conscious awareness so that you can do it on purpose and heal yourself. And helping you dial in the primary relationship between you and you to recognize it, that it's already there. And so you don't have to go to Tibet and meditate in a cave for 40 years. You just start right where you are. It's already there. It's just becoming aware of it and having a guide at first, and then you become your own guide. Because that deeper part of us is a true teacher, a true revealer, really, that shows us whatever we ask for. It delivers.
Thank you so much, John. You are helping so many people, both with your practice and also people listening today. I will have a link to your website. I'll put that in the description. And then I'll also put there a link to some videos that you have done that are located on YouTube as well.
All right. And I'll be adding to those videos.
Thank you, John. I think you have encouraged a lot of people to do more of that exploration using your technique. I think a lot of us are going to be trying that one out. Plus, just your incredible near-death experience. You have really enlightened us today to so much. Thank you for being here and taking the time to talk with us.
You're so welcome. It's really nice to meet you. And your
you
cat.
You as well. Yes, you as well.
All right. You take care.
Another tremendous guest with a spectacular story. There was so much complexity to John's near-death experience. And as I said, it just makes me realize there is just so much more. And I know it's hard to put what people experience into words that we can understand. And sometimes we just have to kind of listen to some of these near-death experiences a few times to really absorb some of the information that people like John are sharing. I have to say too, John's just a really nice, genuine guy. I really enjoyed getting to know him, and I hope you did as well. I would love to know your thoughts. So please write something in the comments. It could be about the near-death experience, maybe about the breathing technique, or something else that we talked about. If there's something that stood out to you, something that was really memorable, I would love to hear about that. You can also comment about Bubbie, my cat, who always joins us here and sometimes interrupts us here. And you can also just say I made it to the end. The comments do mean a lot to me. They really help the algorithm of the channel. So I appreciate all of you that do that. And of course, I love connecting with you. I do want to say I'm going to be on vacation when this comes out. So I will get back to as many of you as I can, but it may take a little bit longer to reply to some of your comments. So just keep that in mind. But thank you again for doing that. Give it a like if you enjoyed this, and please share it with a friend. A couple of other ways that you can support me is I will have information in the description on memberships. And I've enjoyed connecting just a little bit deeper with some of you that have signed up for memberships. And also I'll have a link there to my store where you can buy some merchandise. It says Beyond with Heather Tesch. In the description, I'll also have information for connecting with John. So I'll have his website, his email, that sort of thing. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I've got more great guests coming up. So please come looking for me every week. I do drop a new episode every single week. Don't count on YouTube to send me out. I always say that. Please come looking for me. I am grateful for all of you that do keep coming back week after week, for commenting, everything you do to support me. Thank you so very much. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.